Welcome to this fifth installment of Knights of the Last Stage. This is the fifth foundation stone of the series. And today we're going to go over one of the cores of the Knights program, which is the Knight's Quest. All right, a Knight's Quest refers to a chivalric journey undertaken by a knight in order to achieve a specific goal or end. It is often associated with chivalry, honor, and the pursuit of higher ideals. And that's a good explanation of what a quest is and why we're going to be doing them. This is actually, being the first quest, going to be a little bit different than the others. We're going to have 12 spread out throughout the year that are very definitive. They're very well planned out with very specific guidelines and a very clear purpose as to what they're meant to accomplish. But on this particular one, being an introduction, we're going to have a free option to sort of make up our own quest. It's just something that you need to push yourself with, to do something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, to sort of get used to being, breaking out of the mold, so to speak, that we've been in maybe for many years or many decades, and really start accomplishing great things. Quests, that's part of what quests are going to do. So in and throughout the year, these quests are going to be milestones, they're going to be markers, they're going to be conquests. They're going to be times where we can look back and say, wow, at that time I did that. So now the challenges that are facing me right now, they just don't seem like such a big deal anymore. But on this intro, let me give you some ideas. You may want to climb a mountain peak. You know, from where I'm at right now, over that way, just a mile or two is a beautiful mountain peak that we climb sometimes, and it takes a couple hours. And when you get up there, it seems like you can look out for 50 miles, and it makes you feel good. And it's not dangerous, but it is a push. It's a real push, and you feel like you've accomplished something when you've done it. You could sign up and take a class, maybe a combative arts class, whether it's boxing or MMA or martial arts, or do something like fencing or sword, something that's in keeping with the thought process of becoming a knight in body, soul, and spirit. You could, if you've never been, there's some that may be here and have never been to church before. And I would challenge you, if that's you, go find a good Bible-believing church, or maybe you have that relative that's been asking you for years, so long as it's not a cult, and go visit church and participate in worship and participate in the service, listen to the sermon, and really give consideration to what's being shared. Or you might want to go and visit some form of a group. A couple years ago, I was a member of a film community. It was a meetup group, and it was all people that were interested in filmmaking. And I really learned a lot from that, and I was able to grow as a person. And it was uncomfortable the first time you go in and you meet new people and all that, but that's where you get stretched. You may have a wild uncle that's been bugging you to go fishing for a while, or a nephew. And my nephews are big into fishing. And, you know, go out into the wilderness and do that fishing trip. Now, if you're up north right now, you'd be ice fishing, but that would be pretty cool too. You might even want to stay up all night and walk around and read the Bible out loud. I remember an experience when I was in Bible college years ago where some of my hallmates did that one night. And they were up all night reading the Bible out loud. And my goodness, God really, really blessed them in a powerful way. So again, it's something that's unfamiliar, uncomfortable, but I promise you this, if you put everything into this challenge, whatever it is, you're gonna get something good out of it. The more you put in, the more you're gonna receive. So you'll reap what you sow in every area of life. So begin to formulate the first introductory quest that you're going to take, and even write it down what your plans and provisions are, and then go do it. Now, for my first quest, it sort of came to me outside of my own thinking. We're going into battle. We're going to, what's the event?
It is Black Star Crisis.
It's down in South Carolina. We got to drive 3 hours to get there, and it's going to be a weekend of warfare. There's 4 teams, I think, right?
Yep, 4 teams.
And I got my M4. What do you have?
Same. Well, two M4s and a shotgun.
We'll be using strategy, and if worse comes to worse, when we run out of ammo, we're going with the clubs, right?
Yes. Tusken Raider style.
We hope to be safe, have a whole lot of fun, and come back with some war stories in our quest adventure to become the best we can be. Right?
Let's go.
Amen. My son-in-law very much loves airsoft, and sometimes there's these mega events that take place. You might have to go to another state like we did to participate, and it's usually at some incredible facility. It was here. In this case, some of our most secretive military groups train at this same facility. And you know, they shared a little bit with us, but I can't really tell too much more than that. I know it sounds a little bit strange, but anyways, it was a phenomenal facility. I don't know how many acres it was, but there was a main building that had to be 1 million square feet, and then there was supplemental buildings all around it, and there was fuel tanks and piping and metal containers everywhere, and we had definitive missions that we had to achieve. And there was 4 main teams. There was the Black Ops, and that's why I have this uniform on, because I was part of the Black Ops team, and I forget how many of us there were. There was hundreds of people that participated, just to give you some reference. We all wore black, and of course I had a chest rig, and I had a mask. You got to wear a mask to cover your face, or at least goggles for your eyes, and something over your mouth so you don't chip your teeth. Then there was Spec Ops. They had variations of camo that were green or tan, and then you had the Rangers who were all OD green, and then you had the civilians, and they usually wore flannel shirts, and they were tricky. They were armed as well, but you never knew with the civilians if they were friendlies or enemies. So while you were on a mission, you might encounter civilians, and they might guide you somewhere. They might assist you. They might give you reconnaissance information, or they might shoot you in the back, which is what happened to me, which is a whole nother story. But at this facility, we arrived on Friday. On the way down there, we checked into our hotel, then we continued on. We got to the field, introduction, orientation. As the sun set, we got ready, we're given a mission, and we took off into it, into the dark. And I'm going to share a couple stories in a minute, but as far as the basics of airsoft, your main thing that you need is a weapon. Now, some people carry a sidearm, but that's usually just for a backup. Now, I got this particular one. It's an imitation of a SIG 365 because I happen to own a SIG 365. And as far as weight, size, everything except for the orange tip, they're almost identical. And I thought, well, this would be good for airsoft as a backup, but it would also be good for training, you know, dual purpose. The difference is this, in the magazine, the projectile, which is a 6mm BB, white plastic BB, is powered by this CO2 cartridge. And it holds, I think, 12, which is, I believe it's the same as my gun. Now this one, it looks exactly the same, is powered by gunpowder, a primer, and metal and lead are the projectile. But if I'm not mistaken, this holds 12 as well. So, yeah, other than that, you know, when you're firing it, it feels the same. The tactics and everything are the same. So I played airsoft, but not like this. And my primary weapon, we're gonna go outside and I'm gonna show you that, because the whole world of airsoft is amazing as far as making you strong and powerful and capable. And it's something that's very physical, but it's also incredibly mentally challenging. And if you can use it as an opportunity to witness to some of the other players, or to be a good witness through good sportsmanship and conduct, it can be spiritual as well. And there's sometimes even prayer enters in, because you pray out to God, Lord help me, because it gets pretty rough, especially on this weekend. But let's go outside, and I want to show you the main weapon that I used. I won't shoot you. This is the weapon that I use. It's a Zion Arms M4 variant, and as you see, it's got a magazine. It's called a mid-cap mag. It holds 250 BBs. They're 6mm, and they weigh 0.28 of a gram or grains. I forget how that goes, but they just go right in like a real gun. And I've got the real version of this, and they feel very much the same. So you can switch to semi-auto or full auto. I'll show you semi-auto first. And this will shoot at like 300 feet per second. Some of the sniper rifles might shoot at 500 feet per second. And it's really pretty straight. I mean, you think about 300 feet, that's a football field. At that quick a second, you're going to be able to hit somebody. I'll go full auto now so you can see how that looks. Now this is an electric gun, so right in here there's a battery. There's other guns that are run by gas, whether it's CO2 like the pistol I showed you, or green gas. And then there's some that use compressed air. They look like little scuba tanks that the guys wear on their backs, and they can adjust the air volume. There's also some of the sniper rifles, they use springs, and they're very powerful. But this has really done me well. And as long as you can not show much of yourself, you've got a good chance of taking out the enemy. You want to hide as best you can, you want to move quickly, and you want to be a good shot. And like the field we just went to, we weren't allowed to do full auto. Full auto is awesome, especially if someone's running perpendicular. I mean, you can cover an amazing area real quick, but for just the detail work, I mean, it's an amazing sport. You buy the BBs sort of like this, and they just look like steel BBs, only they're white plastic, and they will sting. That's why I like wearing sort of tactical clothing. It takes a little bit of the sting away, not all of it, but they will put out an eye also, or a tooth. So as you'll see or have seen in the pictures that I'm showing, you want to wear a really good protection for your eyes and your mouth. But we'll do more airsoft later. But for now, I'm going to give my camera person a 3-second head start. 3, 2, 1. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of these players, some of the local fields you show up to, there's a lot of kids, teenagers and stuff like that, and they're fun to play with because they're real enthusiastic and they're very courageous, and sometimes they'll get you. But other times, they don't really know how to utilize tactics. Maybe they haven't just learned yet, and the competition is not as severe. But on this particular weekend, these guys look like they stepped right out of our Tier 1 operators. There's guys that look like they stepped right out of Delta. There's other guys that they look like Vikings. I mean, they wore their chest rigs with their backup mags and nothing else. I mean, bare arms, bare neck, sometimes bare stomach, and these BBs hurt. I mean, some of these, you know, if you get a volley of machine gun fire, you know, those things can shoot, I think, 30 more rounds a second. And, you know, if you don't call your hit right away, you might get 60, 90 hits before you can throw your hand in the air and say hit. And then some of those sniper rifles, I mean, I think they were rated at 3 joules, and I don't know what that equates, maybe 500 feet per second. But their BBs are a lot heavier. I use like .28s, and some of those guys are using over 5 or maybe over 6 on the BB weight, and boy, you can feel that when it hits you. So as I mentioned on Friday night, when we showed up, we had to sign in, and then we had to go and have our weapons tested to see how powerful they were. And then they'd give you a sticker for your gun saying, you know, if it's really powerful, you can't get any closer than, I don't know, 20, 50 feet. If you're less powerful, you can be right on top of somebody and shoot them. So we had to have that testing done with our weapons. We had to sign our waivers because, you know, you could get hurt, and I think a few people did. Hopefully not seriously, not that I heard of, but the opportunity for that was there. And then we got instructions while everybody centered around, and then we were given a mission. We had to go in this huge 6 stories, 1 million square foot building and find data centers. And we used an app called Ares, where you could see where you were, where your squad was with their names, from an overhead view, sort of like looking at Google Maps, only it puts you on there in the location. And when we found one of these data centers, we would mark it with on the app, so that we would know where in proximity that was. We would also, it's not dark in here, but we would take a glow stick and we would break it, and then we would place that there so that any destruction teams that would come in would be able to plant their explosives and know where it was. And we also use these sometimes like in doorways. One time when we were up in a data center marking it, we threw one of these down the stairwell, and it illuminated the whole stairwell because it's so dark in this building. At times it was pitch black. So you had a lot of the guys were running flashlights on the end of their guns, or I had one in my hand, you know, where I was sort of illuminating, but then you want to keep it out as much as you can, because if the enemy sees your light, they know where to shoot you. And it's all about stealth, but we threw that in the stairwell, and this was, I think, maybe our first engagement. And we heard movement, and we braced ourselves at the top of the stairs behind the wall, and movement was coming in, and it's like, is there one guy or is there 15 guys coming in? Do you shoot the first guy and then the other 14 back out, or is there just 2 guys and they get by you and then there's nothing else and you let them escape? So we put this down there and to capture their attention, and so that we could see, and that was very, very helpful. 2 of the other things on the Friday night game that were really cool, my son-in-law and I were working our way down along the outside of the building on a berm, and there was metal shipping containers. I think there was maybe 7 of them lined up. And we had to work our way down from one to the other, and there's gaps in between, and you just couldn't see where the enemy was. And we got down to the very end, and we were on the bank, and then he moved us up over to my right, and we were engaging the enemy as they were coming out of the building in a doorway. And I was taking a few of them out, and so was he. He took quite a few out. And then they were returning fire, but I was on a hillside where I just ducked down, and there's no way they could hit me as long as I had my timing right. And then I had the weirdest thing happen. I heard to my left as I'm laying down sort of a light thud and then a roll. And I thought, you got to be kidding, it can't be. And then poof, about 130 decibels, and the shock wave, it was close enough to hit me and just kick dirt up all over me. And it was a flashbang. Didn't know they were allowed to use them. I know we use smoke grenades. They're supposed to be explosives and grenades, but man, this thing was powerful and it took me out. But it was so cool how it happened. I mean, it really felt like, in your mind, it felt like genuine warfare. So I had to go back to respawn and then come back into the battle. When I came back, one of our squad members was trapped up closer to the building inside of a metal container. And there was a machine gunner over here, and there was another couple enemies over here. So I ran across the field and made it to him, and I called out. I said, "Hey, it's me, don't shoot me." And he came out, and we were returning fire, and we had the door of the metal container open. And I had my rifle like this, and I went to look around, just showing this much. And there was I couldn't see him, but there was a machine gunner over there, and you hear this burr sound, burr, and it's full auto machine gun fire, only he was running tracers. What tracers are is when the BB, they're special BBs, that when they come through the end of the barrel, they have an attachment on there that provides a certain type of light that illuminates the BB, so when they come through the air, they're glow in the dark. And when you have full auto fire, it looks like a laser beam. So I heard this sound, and this far from my eye, it's like this wave of light shoots by me from that machine gun fire, and I pull back like this, and of course I duck down and return fire. But just to see that coming through the dark right at you and then go right by your eye, it was just absolutely unbelievable. So we got done that night, maybe, it's pretty late, maybe 10:30. And we went back to our hotel, and it was pretty far away. Well, anyways, we got to bed maybe a little after midnight. I got up the next morning and had breakfast and headed back into the fray. And this was a whole different thing. I prefer daylight warfare because nighttime's tactics play so much into it. And some of these guys had really sophisticated equipment. They were running night scopes, and they had different kinds of optical devices where they could see you at night and you couldn't see them at all. And so it was craziness, plus just trying to maneuver and be silent inside the building, where unless you got your flashlight on, you can't really see, but you got your flashlight on and there could be an enemy right around the corner that's waiting to light you up. So the next day, so many things happened, but I'm going to share a couple of the stories. One of the stories I'm going to share is very funny. My son-in-law is an amazing warrior, soldier. He's been playing airsoft a long time, and before that he played paintball. And he's just really good. He knows all the tactics. He's very athletic, and he does a great job. But we were trying to get to the control center of the building, because that's where you can control the lighting of the entire building. And we got plugged up at a stairwell because the enemy was guarding the upper floors, and we had to go up the stairwell to get into the control room. And it was heavy fighting, you know, a lot of flashbangs being thrown, smoke grenades. I mean, it was just chaos, and the sound was just deafening. Well, we were trying to make an assault, and he went through into the stairwell first, and he took out a couple guys, but then he came out of the stairwell, and I was there waiting, and he said, it's the first time I've ever seen him angry. He said, "Get in there and get those guys, get them for me." I said, "What?" He said, "Get him." He said, I hit him, he didn't call it, and then he shot me. I said, "All right." So I went in there, and I came around the stairwell, and there's a guy laying on the lower level in a seated position up against the wall, and he's dead. You know, he's got not really dead, but you know, when you get hit, you have to just sit there or lay there, and you put a red towel on your head, or you have a red light that you activate or something like that, and it says, "I'm dead, don't shoot me," until you can be revived through a medic or respawn. So he's laying there, I can't shoot him, so I come back, I said, he's dead. I can't, you got him. I can't get him. He said, no, there's another guy down there. I shot him too. And he didn't call it, and he shot me back. Go get him. I said, okay. So I went in there real stealthy, and the guy's still laying there. And I look down, and two guys are sneaking up. And I come right over the stairwell, and I lit them both up about 5 times, very close, maybe within 10 feet. And there was no question that they got hit. So I came out and I said, taken care of. Now, he had done that for me the night before, which I didn't share that story, but it's the camaraderie that you feel with your fellow soldiers is very interesting, and it's very exciting. I can see how people that are in actual combat situations can be lifelong friends and like true brothers. And you know, that's something with the Knights. The more we move forward, those that God would put together, those of us that the Lord would put together, the days ahead are perilous. You know, when I named this, it wasn't just Knights, it was Knights of the last age. Because if you want a true adventure, go read the book of Revelation and find out what's coming upon this earth. We're going to have to stand strong. Even now, you have to stand strong. But there's more and more difficult times that are coming, even before what the Bible refers to as the Great Tribulation. So when you stand up for Christ with your fellow brother, it's a different kind of war. Mostly it's a spiritual war, but it's very intense and very powerful. And it'll make you close. Another thing I'd mentioned earlier is how the civilians, you just didn't know. And the advice some of the civilian leaders said is, well, it's like this, don't just shoot a civilian because they might be a friendly. Wait until they raise their gun to shoot you, and then you can shoot them. And it's like, what? They've already got the jump on you then. It's like, anyways, that was an element which I think our military maybe faced a lot of overseas, not really knowing who was a friendly and who was an enemy. And it's hard. Even in airsoft, it's hard. So we were given a mission by our commander to take a device, and we had to take it to a certain location, a marked location, and we had to keep it there and guard it for 30 minutes and not allow it to be captured. And he had made an arrangement with some civilians or locals to guide us. Well, they guided us up the road in their vehicle, and then into the building, and then up, I think, two flights of stairs, 2 levels. And then they said, we can't go any further, we got to go back. And we're like, oh, great, okay. So we ventured on. It was a small squad. I think there was maybe 6 of us, and not counting the civilians. And I had the device, and we were moving forward, and then we met up with another group of civilians, and we explained our mission, and they said, oh, we'll take you the rest of the way. So we went up another couple levels, and we were walking across one of the large areas in this huge, enormous factory, very dark out. And all of a sudden I hear yelling, and I get shot in the back. And they come and snatch the device from me. And I had a rehealer, a bandage I tried to put on, and they come up right up on me and said, don't even think about it. So they covered us until they made their escape, and then we had to hunt them. And it was an interesting scenario where you thought you could trust somebody and you were betrayed. And that happens to all of us at different times of our life. Unfortunately, in this case, it was just an airsoft game, but I think we'll talk about that some in the future also. Another, I'm gonna brag a little bit here, but every time I play airsoft, when I'm leaving, usually my son-in-law and I drive together, and I say, tell me your greatest conquest and tell me your greatest defeat. Now, my greatest defeat was probably that grenade. That was incredible and traumatic. But 2 of my greatest conquests I'm going to share. One, I saw 2 truckloads of spec ops, the enemy, coming up, and they said, go, 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 and they got out, and our spawn was maybe 300 yards away. And I think they were trying to take our spawn. So I shouted out to my two of my teammates, and then they shouted out to some others, and we made a sort of a front there to engage them. And I ran back to the wood line. And it took me about 15 minutes, but I worked my way down the wood line until I was perpendicular flanking these two squads. And we were continuing to engage them, and the fighting went back and forth. And we tried to make a push, and a lot of our guys would get taken out. And finally, they sort of consolidated behind this building, and they were taking out our guys as they came forward. And I had worked my way into the woods, so there was deep woods behind me, there was some brush in front of me. I laid down in a prone position, and they were maybe 70 yards away, and it's like fish in a barrel. Our guys coming up from the side, they were right there behind the building, and I'm right in front of me. I just one by one started taking them out, and they're like, hit, hit. They never even returned fire because they couldn't see me. They didn't know where I was. And there's different play styles. Like my son-in-law, he loves to get right in the middle of the trauma and the blood and guts and just be firing it out with everybody. He usually take out almost everybody. Another buddy of ours, Charles, he's the ultimate sniper, and he'll be back in the middle of nowhere. And if he's on the other side from me, like in our home field, I'll just stick a little bit out like this, and he'll clip me right there. I mean, from 70 yards away. I mean, it's unbelievable. He's really, really good at that. But I love flanking. I love working angles and geometry and being patient and trying to work my way around to where I flanked the enemy position, and I can take advantage of that. So that was like the ultimate to me. And then our commander said, we're about done for the day. We've got one more mission. We've got some of our forces holding a building, and they're being attacked. We need you to help hold the building until the siren rings out and the game's over. So we went down there, and we engaged the enemy pretty quick, and the rest of our team, our three guys, went to the left, but I went to the right. And he saw me, and I was running by some like metal and different things like that, and I think he went full auto, because there was BBs almost silhouetted me. I mean, I could just hear and feel them hitting around me, and I made cover, and then I came out to this abandoned hulk of a car, and I was behind it, and I was trying to work my way around him because I knew the rest of our team was coming in this way. And coming from both ways, you know, he didn't have much cover. And then all of a sudden, I'm squatted down at the car like this, and I hear this ding, 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 ding. All around me, there's fire hitting the car around me. And without even thinking, I turned. I was in a squatted down position. Went like this with my M4, and I shot 4 times from this position and lit him up in the chest 4 times. And he said, hit. That was really, really cool. But the coolest thing was we had a bunch of our Black Ops teammates up on a hill, and they had left the game, but they were watching this last bit of action. There was maybe 8 to 12 of them up there. And when they saw that, they obviously thought it was really cool, because they started screaming and hollering and cheering. And what a way to finish this great event. I felt like $1 million. And then our other teammates took out the other guy that I was flanking. We went over and saw him. He was just sat out exhausted, and he said, yeah, he said, I saw you running, and I saw a hit around you, but I couldn't hit you. And it just, when that happens, it feels good. And then when you get taken out, I got taken out a number of times. You got that long walk back to spawn, and then back into the engagement. But it was a great event. Can I say that it stretched me? Absolutely. Physically, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. Even the long drives and everything like that, we didn't get a super lot amount of sleep. The second day I had breakfast, didn't eat lunch, and on the way home we did stop at Five Guys Burgers and Fries, and I ate there a long time ago, and I didn't remember it being spectacular, but this time we went, it was amazing. I really enjoyed it, and that's a lot of food. So just a little shout out to them on the way home, and it was a great quest, because it felt like it changed me. it felt like having done that, even though it was uncomfortable and even though it was demanding and a bit brutal at times, I feel stronger. I feel braver. I feel more capable. I feel more able to meet any challenge that would come my way, because I can say, hey, remember that weekend in January of 2026 when we overcame those fierce battles and survived? Yeah, I can handle this thing that I'm facing right now. I can do it. And that's what we want. We don't want to live vicariously through the television set or through the computer screen or through our phone watching other people's lives. We want to live our own lives on our own terms, and we want to do it to the glory of the Lord Jesus Christ, because anything else just doesn't matter. I don't care what accolades you reach if it's not going to survive thousands of years from now and be remembered and recognized as being of benefit to our Lord and His kingdom. It's going to fade away. It's going to burn up. It's not going to last. So always remember, in conjunction with your greatest triumphs, they have to be bound in with lifting up Jesus and drawing other people to Him. The upbuilding of His kingdom. He is our King, and He is the King of Kings, and we hope to be His faithful knights. So go out, do a quest. Make it exceptional. Don't hurt yourself, but challenge yourself greatly and be stretched. And let's continue on this journey together. So in closing, I wish you Godspeed and pray you keep the faith.